wraparound care. So if you work in the health field or education, when they say wraparound, that means everything coming in. All of our resources are about to go to get you to act right or to get your body right. Whatever needs to happen, we're about to put it out, wrap all around you. We need that in society right now. The Quran is our prescription, and our communities are our hospitals, and our membership are our caregivers. And the exemplar manual for what it's supposed to look like is in our prophet, may Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. So we have a charge, and our charge is that Allah has directed us and our leaders by command in the Quran to resist and remove that is evil and wrong. And we are to do by what is ma'ruf, by what is known and tested, by reviewing our history, reviewing the Quran, knowing what has worked and what does not work. We know the best of behaviors, and we know what has been rewarded. We know the worst of behaviors, and we know what has been punished. And we know the actions and their results because they have been tested over time. It's our responsibility to select the best of this world and provide its guidance to the communities. Imam Warthi Muhammad said, those who lead should be aware of the history of society, the history of the developmental world of man, and they should know the things that have lived while innovations have died and passed away, while guesswork has died and failed man. We shouldn't just be out here doing whatever, right? We have an intellect. We have the ability to study and think and look at what works and what doesn't. So we're looking at the best of traditions. We're looking at the best of examples. And we see that Prophet Muhammad is the example that Allah has provided for us to be the best example of Al-Islam in life and all the tribes before him. So as we understand human development, human history, cultural history, Islamic history, all of these things complement the understanding of our community, development and the dynamics of a community and the community history and our membership in history. So now we're not talking about just putting that out, I remember my niece and my nephew were much younger at the time. They're teenagers now, but they were very little. And they were playing doctor, and I was the patient. They had me laying down, and they were telling me I was sick. And this is a true story. And I said, oh, I'm just so sick. I don't know what to do. And Layla was the nurse, and she was saying, well, I'm trying, doctor. I'm trying. I can't get her back. And Adam was the doctor, and he said, okay, I got you. True story. He picked up a Quran and hit me in the head. this is for real. And bring him back to life. It hit me in the head. It took me by surprise, obviously. But I couldn't do anything but laugh because I said, well, he figured it was nothing to do. He gonna answer right. Everybody's gonna hit you. That's the wraparound care right there. So when we understand all of those things, all these together, we're not talking about just, quoting the Quran when we're talking about progressing. We're talking about, it takes some work. It takes when Imam Warthi Muhammad talked about the 4 birds, and he talked about, in the Quran says, everyone has a direction to which it is turned. Everybody has a component to add to this. When we're saying human development, we have to understand the development as children grow from children to adulthood and even the stages of adulthood, where we are and what we need. We have to understand what has happened in history, our history, the history of the places that we live, Islamic history. All those things come into the components of the dynamics that affect our community, the state of the community, and then how we're going to interact with the greater community. We're talking about eradicating crime. We might have to eradicate some stuff inside of us first. So, the Quran talks about, it offers expressions of how communities nurture our own individuals. So, seeking progress through love and looking at the community as the womb of recovery. Okay? And I'm going to identify some things, and then you have some cards, and I'm going to tell you what to do with it in just a minute. When we talk about community life and what we're going to do to solve the ills of greater community, then when we look inside of the Quran and identify what can the community offer as the womb of recovery, it can offer love. So as community members, we can share our common love in our faith. When we share our love for Allah and the Prophet and our way of life, we listen to when the Prophet said, you cannot be a Muslim until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Think about truly taking that in and allowing that to radiate when you interact with people. These are not just words. It's how do you really engage with other people? It is this love for our faith and our brothers and sisters that motivates us to express such a thing. The community can offer mercy and love. So as a leader and as membership, leading with mercy and love is understanding the backgrounds and needs and intentions of community members. Allowing the leadership to work with the membership in the current state of development to push them towards the realized state. The community can be giving and generous. And we're talking about within our community and society. So we already know we pay zakat and we do sadaqah as part of our Muslim life. This being a regular part of our practice builds the understanding that the dunya is not to be coveted, but rather used to serve the betterment of ourselves, the community, and the society. It builds generosity. It builds strength and bonds of the community as a resource to those that are members. The community can be nurturing within the family and within the community, and then going broader. The mother is the nurturer of the family. She nurtures the children. She nurtures and comforts her husband. But since the woman in the community are also mates, the community is the womb for nurturing the membership. The nurturing of ourselves inside of our communities creates strong families, strong relationships between families, strong resources, and then outreach opportunities to go out into the greater society. Humility within the family and the community. Being humble when we're leading, when we're addressing people in right and wrong, and making that be the way of action. Humility. Forgiving. Family and community, being forgiven within our families and in our community. Forgiveness is something that we ask Allah for ourselves and our families, but also for our community members and our greater community. We have to forgive ourselves, but we also have to forgive others for past hurts. We can't solve outside ills if we can't address the inside ills. Being forgiving massages the wounds of the past and builds connections between mates, community members. It addresses lingering senses of hurt that can sometimes cause separations within families or members in the community, and it can then mend those relationships. So this is how our community, our smaller communities and then greater communities can become the wombs of nurturing for our society. But I am going to share with you another statement for love. Seeking progress through love. So instead of saying, let me go back to what it was originally. So long, lights, opportunity, vision, and eradicating crime. So that's a big thing right there. I am going to say love, linking ourselves to the values exemplified in Prophet Muhammad. Seeking progress through love, through linking ourselves to the values exemplified in the Prophet Muhammad. On your card, you have values exemplified by Prophet Muhammad. As mentioned in the Quran, Prophet Muhammad has given us an excellent example. Not only just for ourselves or individually as Muslims, but also how we should interact with others and how we should lead the greater community. So, if you would take a moment and look at your particular value, I would like for you to think about how that can impact our community when we talk about progressing. So, I'm going to read them all, and then I invite you to share a characteristic of the prophet that you have and how that can impact our community. So I have loving, which is wada or haba, mercy and love, rahima, giving and being generous, rahama, affectionate social connections, polite and kind, Anissa, connected, alafa, trusting and faithful, Amina, humble, Hasha, sensitive moral and emotional sensitivities, Bashara, forgiving, Ghafara, reflective, analytical and thinking, Bakara, reflective and remembering, Dakhara, reverent or conscious, Taqwa or Wakaya, patient and persistent or consistent, Sabara, grateful or thankful, Shakara, restraining, Sama, protecting or guarding, Hafata, creative, Kalaka, learning, Alama, aspiring, growing or evolving, Kama, productive, Falaha, nurturing, Raba, mastering, commanding, Amara, truthful or charitable, Sadaka, peaceful or submissive, Salama, obedient, Kanata, purposeful, Wajaha. So, So, would anyone like to share? These are all characteristics of the prophet. And the idea is when we're talking about progressing as a community and addressing the ills, oftentimes we hear the conversations, charity starts at home when you begin to build yourself and you become an example to those around you and you begin to interact with these characteristics. Not only do you change yourself and you change your community, as you begin to do outward change as well. Yes, ma'am.
I have productive, aspiring, growing, and evolving, and it makes me think about programming that we need for our youth, because all these things can come out of some positive programming that we do for them, and I think that should be our main focus, is them right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw anything.
But I can see.
It's amazing that you gave me this one. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't say amazing. I am so grateful that you gave me this one. It is patient, persistent, and consistent. I named my son Sabr. And this is Sabra, okay? And he is now 42 years old. I named him Sabr because I lacked patience. And Allah blessed me to see that attribute was lacking in my life. But it is something, that I have tried to nurture and develop over these last 42 years, and Allah has blessed me to see that I have become more patient, persistent, and consistent because I saw a need for our children here at this Masjid. And I didn't see anyone else stepping up to the plate. So I said, okay, Rosie, you already got a lot on your plate, but you're going to have to do this one. Take some other stuff off that is really not, someone else can be doing that. And you have to devote yourself and your time to this. So I started working with the children with the Arabic and Al-Islam and studies class. I recognized that I had to be consistent. I had to show them I'm here for you. So every time I allowed them to set the pace. You tell me what days you want, which Sunday you want to be here. One said every Sunday. Another said, oh, no. We can't do every Sunday now. We got too much going on. But they set the time, and I said, well, we know we have pantry on the fourth Saturday. So we're going to be tired on that fourth Sunday, right? They said, yes, ma'am. We're not going to do it on the fourth Sunday. So then one said, well, let's do it on the first and the third Sunday. And then everybody said, is anyone in agreement with that, opposition? So they set that tone. But when we listen to our young people, we get real results. If you let them know that this is their class, no adults in their class, unless they invite the adults. One of their parents came in and he said, I want to sit in the class. And I turned to the class and asked him, I said, is it okay for this parent to sit in your class? She wants to sit. And they said, not today.
Hit you upside the head with the Quran.
They said, not today. We're just getting, acclimated ourselves. We don't want anyone sitting in right now. And I said, parent, can you respect their request? And he said, okay, but I'm going to be wanting to come back. But I mean, long story short, patient, persistent, and consistent. When you're doing something with children, you have to be patient with them. You have to be persistent because for many weeks, they weren't coming. So I said, okay. And I asked them, what is it that I can do or what can we do together in order to make certain that you are here on the days that you say you're going to be here? Because I want your word to be consistent with what you say. I want you to be able to do it as well. So they started brainstorming in the class. Well, I can make sure, Sister Rose, can you text all of us? And I said, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to give you my phone number, my home and my cell. So you can also do the same for me. Because the way you need help, so do I. But anyway, it was good. So alhamdulillah, we're still existing.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to piggyback off of Sister Lydia and Sister Rosie. The two that I have are obedient and purposeful. And so when Sister Lydia mentioned about putting programs in place for our children, that linked back to Sister Rosie and the Arabic class, because originally Kamani, my son, had not been coming, but I noticed that since that has been implemented, there has been a change in his nature, and so and I agree with all of these, what needs to happen in our communities. And so it's going to be very important that we continue to be purposeful when we're doing things for our children, and making sure that they understand that if we are the example for them and we're obedient, that they need to be obedient as well. And so to tell them, it's like do as I say, not as I do. But it's also modeling by example. And so you want to make sure that you're obedient as a person, and myself, in doing what I need to be doing in order to have them understand the expectations of meeting that expectations of being obedient when it comes to doing something positive and impactful in their lives.
Sure, absolutely.
Assalamu alaikum. it appears as though all of this is related. Because now I'm going to say I have charitable and peaceful. And two aspects, you know, improving, improving our community with the first acronym of love, where it had eradicating crime, okay, being charitable, you know, plays a real big role, I think, in that, you know, being open, being giving, you know, to those who don't have, has an impact. You know, it might be that one thing that you did would stop someone from doing something wrong. Okay? And I'm not trying to brag on this or anything, but we were speaking of Ramadan one year, of some of the things that we do. And during Ramadan, I make it a habit of keeping some dollar bills in my car, okay? Not just out, but I have them available. So when I see the people that are standing on the corner, you know, they need, I have $1 that I can just give to them. Without any question, I just give it. That person that I gave the $1 to, they might have, you know, gone down the street and tried to take the $1 from somebody. But I've already given them $1, okay? Then the other side of charitable and our children, or our grandchildren, they want to be charitable. They want to give. And so you have to create opportunities for them to do that. We are witnessing it right here in our pantry. We get our grandchildren, our children, neighbors. We even have a brother that has collected young men, young teenage boys, that he will bring here. They are in need themselves. They are in need themselves. But they come here to be charitable to somebody else. They're looking for, our young people are looking for ways to be charitable, to give. And so we do have to create those opportunities for them. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I have Wada Habba Letting.
Mike,
Mike's not on?
it's on, just pull it a little closer.
I did? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Loving. And that word jumped out at me as a Muslim because, like now, I've been a Muslim for 49 years? 49 years now. And I've always noticed that that word love was never really expressed, you know, in our community. I don't know about here. You guys may have expressed it quite a bit, but where I was, it was never really expressed. But here lately, I have been hearing khutbahs talking about love. And I'm like, oh, alhamdulillah. Because it's like Muslims were afraid to express love. You know, and Allah is all about love, you know, loving. And I think back on especially us as African Americans, what we've been through, that love element was kind of squashed in us because there was so much hatred thrown towards us. So it's kind of like we were afraid to, you know, love, to show love. Like, I don't know, raising children, you know, a lot of the parents would be harsh. And that was their way of expressing love, but it wasn't coming off as love. So, and then they didn't really, you know, a lot of us, they remember back, parents may not have said, I love you. You may not have told your sisters and brothers, I love you, you know, because it wasn't expressed to us, you know. So I think that's very important to tell people I love you, you know, and we hear it thrown around quite a bit in this society of those songs, I love you, baby, no, no. But then you see the opposite. They tell you they love you and other things are happening, so you're not really getting the understanding of what true love is, you know. And a question that was posed earlier about the young people in our community, how to kind of bring them in, and that's one of the ways, show them love, you know. Show them the loving element of Al-Islam. We as Muslims, we love you, and we want to see the best for you, and being aware and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being aware of your Muslim aunties and uncles who have knowledge and wisdom to share with you in a loving way. You know, that's all I got to say.
Salam. The word that I have is trusting and faithfulness. My dad, we were having a conversation the other day about this, trusting in Allah. I feel like, well, it wasn't exactly about trusting, but it was about just doing better than you did the day before. Just because, you know, you did something bad the day before doesn't mean that you can't change. And you should trust in Allah's bountiness and His mercy. And when you have trust and persistence, that is what makes faithfulness. And I feel like faithfulness helps when you're going through a hard time, when you're sucked into sin, into a lifestyle of sin, into you should trust Allah and trust in His patientness with you, and that's not even a real word. Patience. Today
It is.
I'm sorry.
It's been recorded. It is not a word.
But yeah, this was big. Even down my timeline on Instagram, I see a lot of posts about Ramadan and people preaching about trusting in Allah and being faithful throughout this journey. It's going to be a battle of ups and downs. We're going to sin. It's inevitable. We're here on earth. So with that being said, we could always do better than yesterday. That's it.
Assalamualaikum. So, the original E was eradicating crime. And when I hear that, it comes back to what you were saying. It could be for, what did you use?
Exemplified.
Exemplifying Prophet Muhammad. So we can eradicate crime. And crime is the crime against humanity. The crime that won't allow you to be human. That's the biggest thing we need to eradicate. How can we do that? By emulating those things from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so I have reflective, analytical thinking, fakra, and forgiving, ghafara, right? So with our community, we need to have a plan and a goal, and we need to have a process to meet it. And we have to include all of the people and the youth to meet that goal, to identify what that goal would be. And we have to think about, is that really a goal that we need to have? Is that a goal that we want? Is that going to satisfy the needs of our community? And we have to forgive ourselves for our shortcomings. If we didn't do it before, start now. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. I was given the attribute of rahama. Am I saying it correctly? Giving and generosity. Okay, it's going to pick it back all back around. My sisters talked about our children. Okay, for those that know in this community, I am a grandmother. Okay, and I had to learn, and I thank Allah for the mercy that, you know, I was like, I reared mine. How did I get here? I am a grandmother rearing young children again. And my mindset was giving. How am I going to be able to give to these children? And Allah has opened my mind to let me know through my faith, through community life, giving does not always have to be monetary. I need you to give these children the example in which I've given to you through Prophet Muhammad Wasallam. Because it's my faith, that's why I trust, that's where my guidance come from. So the giving and generosity of just knowledge, allowing this child to know that you are loved by giving them the mindset of what was given to me. Just letting them know, you know what, there's the love, there's the community. I don't always have to have the monetary giving, just giving them what was given to me through Allah's mercy.
Go ahead, she did.
Okay.
Oh, she knows. She knows. We got one right here. We got somebody right here.
Oh, you can touch the name and you can go.
Assalamu alaikum. I am sensitive, morals and emotional, sensitivity, Bahasha, Baha. Morals and emotional is one of the attributes I try to express to my grandchildren. You are 14, you are 15. Do not take certain things from other children that offer you gummies or whatever, this new thing out here. Your family love you. Plus, every day I send them an inspiration. This is what Allah says. Then when they get out the car, I have to tell them, we love you. And I'm also trying to teach them to be charitable. Pay some money in zakat and bring your G-Mama receipt.
Alhamdulillah. Oh, wow.
All right, assalamu alaikum. So I have grateful and thankful, and then I have restraining. Inshallah, right? Now the test is to say things that you see in our community, right? Or that you want to see. Or either way.
How can exhibiting that trait within our community impact our progress?
Okay, alhamdulillah. So